Hello and welcome. You're listening to episode 32 on the Air Hug community. Hey, welcome to the Air Hug community. I am Judy Arizosa, your host, and I created the Air Hug community to bring you stories from guests and myself that ultimately help improve the lives of others and boomerang back to improve your life. So we cover all sorts of topics like relationships and personal development, how you see the world, and just behaviors that actually affect yourself and others. So strap in, sit down, welcome, and thank you so much for joining in. You know, every now and then a topic comes up in conversation and I feel like I just have to talk about it over here on the Air Hug community. And you know, we cover such a wide range of topics, but we are, remember, all about improving the lives of ourselves and others. And so when this conversation came up, I just felt compelled to chat about. We're talking today with a guest who works in cybersecurity. And she's going to give us some interesting perspectives on best practices for protecting our privacy. But one of the most interesting things that came up that she talked about that I really took to heart was slow living. And she talked about how we always want the most convenient, and I do too. Who doesn't want to create shortcuts in our life? The most convenient, the most simplified way to do things. And of course, keep it simple is a fabulous, motto and practice to live by, except for when we cut corners so much that we could put our privacy and other things in danger. The other thing that really came up in this conversation was a little chat about social media addiction and how it really can have true mental health implications. And so a lot of entrepreneurs who work primarily online, like myself and several other people in businesses I know, especially in the age of COVID and what it's done to our world, have had us trying to connect with the outside world a lot on social media, and it's not always the best thing. So while, of course, I don't want us to disappear on social media, I think we need to be very careful with how we consume it, as we talk about in this podcast, and also about human nature and the need for connection, which comes up over and over again in so many different ways. So I'm going to stop right here and go ahead and get to the main part of this and introduce our guest. I hope that you get a lot from this podcast. Please listen to the end. And of course, do me a favor, take a screenshot, share it with others. And if you haven't yet done so, please write a review. Apple loves reviews, and it really helps us to get this out to the people who can benefit from it the most. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Air Hug community. Today, we have a little bit of a different conversation. I'm bringing my friend on, whose name is Lisa, and she's going to talk to us. I wanted to have a conversation with Lisa, or let's say continue a conversation that we started yesterday, in fact, and we were talking about getting on social media and using it and not using it, and how it knows all these social internet things know way too much about us. So before we go any further, I'm going to introduce Lisa Miglioratti. And Lisa, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, Judy. I am happily married for 36 years now, and with my husband, and I live with our two little dogs in Webster. And I work at Arvin Grid, which is the parent company of RG&E here locally in Rochester. And I do cybersecurity, and I like that a lot. I'm very passionate about it, and I just like to share what I know with anybody who will listen.
So, well, thank you. I hope you don't mind saying that, we actually, in spite of all this, we kind of got connected, or I would say reconnected, through social media. And I think it was your husband's account, right?
Yes.
that got us connected. And we did get connected, and we are part of this chat group for a program that we do together. Am I allowed to say?
Sure.
Okay, so, and Lisa is part of my Mission Sustainable Nutrition membership. And one of the things that we do on it, I'm not plugging that at all today, but just so you have a background, is we have an ongoing text chat going, just because we have this open line of communication and we can text each other. And it's meant to be support and accountability, mostly support, I think, for all the people in the group. And so I yesterday was chatting we had our Zoom meeting and we were chatting, and I was talking about how I really don't like having Facebook own our chat because we had been using Instant Messenger. And I was asking about other things that we could use. And then Lisa popped in with offering lots of, information that kind of scared me a little bit, or just kind of alerted us to the fact, that social media and what do I want to say, Lisa? Not just social media, but even like Google search engines, they know too much about us. So,
Absolutely.
so
And everything you put out there, you scan a document, it's out there for people to see. You think of the cloud is really just another computer somewhere. It's not really, it's a cloud, it's a big place, it's something that can accommodate a lot of information, but at the same time, it's the information you're putting out there that is you have to be extremely careful about. So there's identity theft that I try to caution people about. Phishing scams, which is the email that comes to you and it says something urgent, or the Nigerian prince scam where you've inherited $50 million and click here. Well, those are all tactics called social engineering. And in doing that, they take your information that you've put out there, either by they're asking you for it, or you're just providing it, or your credit card information because you think that you didn't pay a bill or something, or you received an invoice. So there's all these different factors that come into this, and this is the cyber world that I work in.
whoa, let's wait a minute for a second and just talk about social engineering for a second in the context of information security. And here's a definition that I got. I just want to share it before we go any further. Social engineering is the use of deception to manipulate individuals into divulging confidential or personal information that may be used for fraudulent purposes. Okay, I just wanted to make sure we were clear on that because it's a lot about what we're talking about here, and I want to make sure we all understand exactly what social engineering is and what the implications of it are.
I like to tell people don't post anything on Facebook or social media unless you're comfortable with your grandmother seeing it or reading it. And it's been damning. It's been damaging for people's relationships sometimes. But yeah, a lot of good comes out of it. Okay, there are people who get kidney transplants because they post on Facebook that they need
Yeah.
one.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of great things that come from it. I'm not, discouraging people from using it, but just use it carefully.
Carefully. Yeah. So I think a lot of it falls on the responsibility of us, of how much do we really want to share with the world, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, yeah, it
And
used to be just what you said. Now it's what you post, right?
yeah. And your pictures, facial recognition is something that can be compromised. They can take your picture and, do all kinds of things. I don't want to be a fear monger,
Mhm.
but the fact of it is, in my job, I see so much of it. And it's just, I just want people to be careful. And you may want to just go, oh my gosh, if I knew this 10 years ago, would I have posted this or would I have done that? But it's too late for that now. And
Yeah.
privacy as we knew it is pretty much gone.
You know what I find interesting? Privacy as we much knew it is pretty much gone, is interesting because I see some of the younger generation, and I don't mean young, I guess, so like maybe I'm going to say like people in their 30s, and this is not, I don't know all the people and what all the opinions are, but I think they seem, a lot of them, at least maybe the smart ones I know, seem to actually post less and less on social media, or they're so savvy that I can't find it, which I'm not really looking for it, but they seem to be less doing it than what I would say like some of the baby boomers.
Yeah, you're right there. And this education is most important to probably these baby boomers, which is our generation,
Mhm.
and older. Like our parents are trying to keep up with the technology just to stay in touch with us. So, grandparents are getting iPads and they're logging in and they're doing FaceTime to see their grandchildren, especially during COVID. I know that's been huge.
Mhm.
Zoom meetings and families getting together on Zoom for a holiday, for instance. Um, so, the generational thing is a huge um, area that we're struggling to kind of get our heads around because it's hard to keep up with.
How just have, yeah, having people keep. So you brought up FaceTime. So FaceTime is only on iPhones, correct? Is that an Apple thing?
Yes. Yeah,
So
that's right.
now when you're on FaceTime, is anyone recording that, or when it's gone, is it gone? I mean, are we being spied on when we're doing FaceTime?
I don't think so. No.
Okay.
I mean, the only time you would be recorded, like I'm on a lot of conference calls now, obviously working virtually, and those are sometimes recorded, and they tell
Mhm.
you up front that they are. But I don't think that Facebook is got the bandwidth to actually record those types of things.
Mhm.
What they do is they have artificial intelligence. You hear the term AI all the time now.
That's what
Um,
you started to talk about yesterday. Yeah. All right. Help us.
Right. So AI is a tool that they've developed, and it's just a basic computer that learns based on keywords or based on information, a little bit of information it's fed, and it goes and it listens for those keywords. And then it like I was telling the story yesterday about how my husband and I were discussing purchasing a new mattress. Well, the very next day, a mattress ad popped up on my screen, and
But
then I
can
had
I
been
ask you a
thinking,
question? You were
yeah,
just talking about it. You didn't like write it on your phone or anything? Did
no, I didn't write it, I didn't Google it, I didn't. We uttered the word. It was that simple, and I've heard this from a number of people. So basically, there are algorithms out there, and they listen for those keywords, and so it listened for the word and it heard mattress, and it goes, "Oh, Lisa must want to buy a mattress, so let's put this up on her screen." So that's how they're generating the income, that the riches that
Yeah. Well,
Mr. Zuckerberg.
did it show up on your, I'm sorry if I interrupted. I'm
No,
just a little confused. Did it show up as a Facebook ad, or where did it show up on your, was it your
actually,
computer?
I play a stupid little mindless game because my work involves so much computer time and reading very serious, heavy stuff that I play a mindless little like free cell solitaire game.
Hmm.
And in between those games, when I finish one and I go to start another, occasionally an ad will pop up. You can't get anything for free. Any apps are free because then if you pay for it, then you won't get the ads, right? So they get
Hmm.
your money that way. But if you don't pay for it, they offer the application for free, but they're going to inject all of these ads that their advertisers are paying for them to be there. So that's what it was. It was just, it came popping up and it startled me and actually showed my husband. I go, I can't even believe this. I mean, not in a
That,
million years should that type of an ad pop up.
so
Uh,
here's a question. If you pay for an app, does it mean they stop listening, or do you think the they're still?
well, no, actually, the apps in and of themselves, whether they're free or pay, have, the terms and conditions
Hmm.
so that you accept. Nobody reads that fine print, but it's in those terms and conditions that the fine print will say, by accepting this, you're agreeing to allow us to use your camera or us to use your microphone,
Oh,
or us to record something. So this
but
is
there,
where it's unscrupulous, it's
Yeah.
hidden. So that's where they're getting you in these apps. And so the one thing, if I can give some advice, it's to go into your settings and look at the security that you have on the different applications. You can always go back and change this, so if you said accept, and I'm going to accept the fact that it's going to use my microphone, listen to me say the word mattress, then I go back and I have to say, no, you can't use my microphone.
So that silly little game that you play, that solitaire game, you would go back at that app in
Mhm.
your and see if you can get rid of
The
basically
fact
them
that
spying on you. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Well, it might not have even been the card game that was listening. It could be any app that's activated your microphone. And just like with the personal devices like Alexa,
Mm-hmm.
and the Google Dot and all of these little home assistants, um, I've heard of them even listening, and they claimed in the beginning that they put security parameters around these devices so
Mm-hmm.
that, you don't have to worry about that. But no way, I won't have one of those in my house.
I don't do that, but what about Siri?
Well, Siri, yeah, Siri
Same
does listen.
thing, right? Yeah, she
Absolutely.
listens. Well, I
Yep,
call her a
yep,
she. Yeah.
yep. Well, it
Man.
depends on the voice. I have a sexy Australian man on my Siri.
Oh, wow.
His
I used to
voice.
have the boring female computer, and all I ever asked her to do is turn on the flashlight. I mean,
Yep. So you can see the dog poo to pick it up, right?
it's to change the litter box. I know it's ridiculous. But I don't like the risk benefit. I don't know. Is it really worth it? Once in a while, I'll ask her to text, and she never gets
Uh-huh.
it right anyway.
There you go. Yeah. I mean, these are all just things that have made our lives a little bit simpler, maybe, but also put us at great risk. Um, and bad things happen. I mean, I could tell you all day long, give you stories, but the bottom line is, it's like the wild, wild west. Okay, when the West was young and there were no sheriffs and the territories were wide open, it was cowboys and Indians and pioneers trying to get onto their new life. And so that's basically what the internet is right now, the wild, wild west, and it's out of control.
Wow.
So, and the federal government is even seeing this now, as they've been interviewing, or having hearings there with Mr. Zuckerberg,
Hmm.
and trying to put regulations and, restrictions around the internet and what it does. So they're figuring it out, but it might be too late for the
Yeah.
rest of us.
Well, the thing is, they had to have a reason, right, to kind of investigate first, right?
That's the thing,
Yeah.
it's like, you close the barn door after the horse got out.
Always, right. What about, did you see that 60 Minutes show? It was not very long ago. So we are recording this in early March. There was a 60 Minutes show about that 23andMe and how they're sending our information to like China. Like I have
Mhm.
never done 23andMe, but apparently when you do it, you agree for whatever they're going to get your info.
Yeah, yeah. Again, you got to look at the fine print. That's where they're hiding all these little clauses that allow them to do whatever they want with your information. So just it's buyer beware. Okay, it's just a matter of, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. And just being extra careful and reading. Um, I was saying how, cars can be hacked now because all they are is a giant computer, particularly the electric ones, right?
Yeah.
So if the car can be hacked and taken control of maybe while you're in it, and that would be a really bad thing. They've done this, they've shown this, I think even on 60 Minutes. And I want to go back to just having my old Dodge Dart, my 73 Dodge Dart, that crank windows, and I had to press a button on the floorboard to dim the lights. And, I mean, it was just
It was
simpler
all
time.
mechanical and not digital, correct?
Exactly. That's it. This is the digital revolution. You're right. That's a
Mhm.
good way of putting it. Yep.
Yeah, the digital world is a little bit scary, but you know what? It is what we're living in. So what
Yeah.
are some of the best practices? I know you talked about buyer beware. Um, let's review that really quick. You did say that. So like when we sign settings in our phone or computer.
Yes, absolutely. So whatever browser you're using, whether it's Internet Explorer or Firefox or Google Chrome or something, you can go in and set the security to be very restrictive. So it doesn't track you. It doesn't, remember everything you're typing into a Google search. Actually, the safest browser that I have discovered and used personally is DuckDuckGo. Duck like the bird, DuckDuckGo.
Oh, really? I haven't
Yeah,
even heard of it yet.
called. Yeah, that's what it's called. So you can install this browser and it actually grades the site you go to for security. It'll stop you from going somewhere if it feels that it's, and you have to actually stop and look and think, do I need to go to this website? It's questionable.
Mhm.
So it's guiding you. It's a really good platform, I think. And you can wipe out the history and and it's great. It's a cool thing. You can wipe out history in any of the browsers, but nobody goes in and looks at those settings. People are very loose about passwords, right?
Yeah.
I can't tell you in my office space how many times I've walked through and seen someone write their password on his post-it note on the monitor. I mean, that don't do that, please. Not even at home, really.
Not even at home. If you work like it's only me and my husband and the dogs, I can't do that.
Well, I keep it in a ledger that looks like any other book on the desk. I actually do write them down because I have to have so many.
Hmm.
Another good option is a password manager. You can get an electronic password manager. There's a couple of them. One's called LastPass. Um, Duo is another company that has a good password manager.
So they
Um,
store it somewhere on their site again.
You password protect just the initial one, and
Hmm.
then in it will list all of the rest of them. And then you can actually take them and apply them if it's on the device you're using to go into a website or to your banking. You'll be able to use it through that
Do
device or
that.
through that application rather.
Now, isn't that what Google Chrome does for me? Because Chrome saves.
Yeah, it does. It saves your credit card information if you want it to. It asks you first. It'll save the passwords for that site if you want it to.
Do
But
you recommend that, or do you think Google Chrome is not secure enough? I mean, it is
I
Google.
don't trust Google. Google and Facebook are not my friends. I mean, there
They're
are
not
others.
your friends. Okay, I'm listening.
It's just they've gotten so big. And you're right. I just feel that they know way too much. Um,
So now what if Google already has your passwords in your credit card? What can you do? You're screwed, or you
well, you
just
can go
can't.
into those settings and remove that information.
Okay. But
But
will they save it somewhere else? Do you think they have it? Even if I remove it, will they still have it?
I I don't know the answer to that. I'd like to think we'd all like to think that when you delete something, it's gone forever. But in my experience, is nothing is permanently gone.
Yeah.
Even when you're deleting things on your computer or in your phone,
Hmm.
there's breadcrumbs left and there's some trace of it or footprints of where you visited and what you did, unless
Mhm.
you go in and really, really lock down those settings.
That's gosh, I was so dependent on Google Chrome all this time. DuckDuckGo. What about Edge? I've heard mixed things about Edge.
That's interesting. I don't know very much about Edge other than my work. They're pushing that browser out to the rest of us, and it's supposed to be much more robust than even Google Chrome.
Hmm.
Um, you know, Firefox, that's another one, that a
Hmm.
lot of folks use. But I quite honestly, I can't answer. I don't know a lot about Edge.
Hmm. I mean, I suppose we could find out. It's just out there. And yeah, I used to use Firefox. I don't know why I switched to Chrome a number of years ago, but probably because they made it too easy.
Well, there you go. Yeah, if they make it bright and colorful, because all that Google stuff is,
Hmm.
and easy to navigate. And when they started allowing you to have tabs for multiple pages within the application, then that opened up a whole new world and sucked everybody in.
Yeah. Well, it definitely sucks you in, and let's talk about social media addiction, because we touched on that a little bit.
Sure.
So I go ahead.
It's a very real thing. And it has serious, mental health implications. Can be harmful unless you can really keep yourself in check, not depend on it, not be staring at it, not relying on getting likes on things. Your mental well-being shouldn't be driven by social media at all. um, it's fun to see what other people are doing, but if a lot of people put out their fake information about what their lives are all about, you don't know what's really going on.
That's true. And there's a whole thing about, being authentic or just posting and all these apps where you can alter how you look and.
Hmm. Well, yeah, the Instagram influencers, right? I've seen some pictures where this is the real picture and this is the
Other
real
picture.
thing, and then the picture is obviously very edited, and the one that goes up on Instagram is the beautiful one.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
distorts people's thinking. Girls particularly fall prey to these type of things, trying to be that perfect image, and nobody's
Yeah.
perfect.
Nobody's perfect. And well, anyways, and everyone's definition of perfect is kind of different, I think, and that's a problem right there. But I see it a lot. Yeah, I've had like potential people come to me that may want to work with me, and they will start right off with, this has happened more than a few times. I've had some people that want to look exactly like someone famous. And I'm like, I can't make those kind of guarantees. You're going to look like
Mhm.
a better you, a healthier you. We don't even
Mhm.
know what a healthier you is going to look like until you get there, but we're going to
Mhm.
know by, the feedback and everything. But to say that you're going to look like, say, like a Kardashian or this or that, or I don't know, I just use that as an example, is kind of, that's a whole other Pandora's box. I think that, but I do think social media has definitely played a big part in that.
Oh, sure has. Yeah. And on the flip side of this, to play devil's advocate, there's a lot of good that comes from, social media too. Families reunite,
Mhm.
lost things are found. And like I said, before the guy needs a kidney, so his daughter posts on Facebook, and next thing you know, an applicable donor shows up, and the guy's life is saved. That type of thing. So there's a lot of good things about it, but by the same token, as with anything, you really have to just be careful.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the bottom line is, like, if it's too good to be true, and maybe that's not even it, too good to be true. But I think is we have to just not blindly trust. And like, I'm probably the most gullible person in the world. If I didn't have my husband, like, he's like always helping me out. He's like, "Do you really want to, let's talk about this?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, okay." You know, but he's, naturally cautious, I guess you could say. And
Hmm.
I'm naturally trusting, which is probably not, I think everybody's nice.
Well, and that's it too. Like that's why social engineering works. So if somebody wants to talk you into doing something you wouldn't ordinarily do, it's easy. Just like we in my work, one of the things we try to guard against is people getting in access to our buildings without a badge.
Mhm.
So people want to hold doors open for people, though. It's a polite thing to do. You want to help people out, but then it ends up, there are scams involved or something.
Yeah.
um, so the human nature is that you want to be good, you want to do the right thing, you want to behave like you were raised, a good person, but it doesn't always work out well, and people take advantage of your good nature.
That's the thing, is in these cyber creeps,
Yep. Good word.
are, yeah, are out there. And I think it's just a good little reminder. And I know it's not, probably what maybe it's not like such a glamorous conversation to have, but the fact that it came up yesterday, when things come up in my life and it's all of a sudden like there's passion in the conversation, I just feel compelled to share. And so like we got on this conversation yesterday and I'm like, I'm sure other people, and maybe I'm late to the game or slow to catch on, with being so gullible, but I don't know. I just felt like it's really important to remember that not everyone in the world is good, and there's spies everywhere,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know.
Electronic ones and two-legged ones.
Yeah, right. But also not everyone is bad either. There are
It's
people wanting to do good.
mhm.
And you know what? Like we met through Facebook indirectly. A few other of my clients had, even though they're local, we met like because I was posting pictures of my dogs, and then they were like, hey, we have the same breeder, blah, 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 or whatever. And then I was really happy to connect with those people, but I guess you just make your decisions as you go, and then, let them in slowly. So,
Mhm. Yeah. Trust your intuition, trust your gut. I encourage people to do that. Something feels off. It just probably is. Um, but stop and slow down. Our world has become so fast paced with everything. An email shows up and boom, you got to see what it is and who it's from and what have I got to do about it. Um, One of the biggest pieces of advice I can give is just to slow down and take a really close look at things that you're receiving, text messages, voice messages, the robocalls that you get. No, they don't want to sell you more insurance, for your car. They want to steal something from you
mhm.
actually, but just don't fall for it. Be a little skeptical. I'm probably accused of being hyper skeptical and borderline paranoid, but like I said, when I do this for a living, 40 hours a week, and that's all I see and read about, it kind of tends to sink in, and make you a little crazy.
You're way more aware of it, I think, than we are. And I guess the whole reason I wanted to bring you on was to help with awareness for like the average person like me who's like doesn't totally understand all this.
Hmm. Yeah, most
So,
people, why would somebody want to steal my identity? What have I got? Well, you'd be surprised
yeah.
what
Well,
what.
you want to hear an awful, this is like so embarrassing and it's totally out of my control. Somebody took a picture of me. Okay, I can't even believe I'm going to share this on the air. But a picture that, and it's just me sitting in my car. One day I got my hair done and I snapped a picture and I must have put it on, I think I put it on Facebook. And it's just a picture of like, it's kind of a sunny day. I'm sitting in my car. It's totally a G-rated picture, right? This person took this picture with my name, and it's not up anymore, but you can Google it to find it. They put it up on Pinterest on a board that is perverted, and it's like over 50, hot women. I forgot what it said. And
Oh
now
my God.
really weird. For no particular reason, my husband decided to Google my name, and he's like, did you know about this picture? And I'm like, I was so embarrassed. And I'm like, so then I went to Pinterest to try and find it. I can't find it on Pinterest. I can't find that account on Pinterest, but yet on Google, that picture is still showing up. And it basically it's portraying me. I think it's like somewhere in like Miami, Florida. It's like these women basically are not good women. Let me put it that way. And I got my picture, and I'm like, oh my God.
Oh my gosh, that's horrible.
And I'm like, make it go away. And I can't. It's
Yeah.
it's out there
And
on Google.
yeah, and you didn't even do anything really other than to post the picture yourself.
It's a
Um,
perfectly normal picture that like
right.
any like get your hair done, like, hey, look, I got my hair done. I'm so excited. Very
Mhm,
innocent, like, are you kidding kind of picture. And then just last week, a woman who I'm acquainted with on Instagram, we're kind of in that over 50, 60 kind of genre. And we
mhm.
chat, with other people. Somebody took several pictures of her and her grandchildren off of Facebook and created a new Facebook page with all of her photos, and she cannot get Facebook to do anything about it. They won't take
Wow.
it down. And it's a fake person, a fake name, but it's all her pictures. And
Oh my gosh.
I know, which has me really scary, because how many pictures do we put up on social media? I mean,
Yep.
I'm in a visual, well, I'm in a health business, but people want to see, you know, so I'm like, this is kind of scary.
Yep.
So
Yep. It's
I know.
out there. So, you know, got to be careful what you put.
You do have to
Anyway,
be careful. And the thing is, here we are. A lot of us are still working from home and will be for a while, hopefully not forever. But, we want to be connected, and people like me who are solopreneurs who work from their desk, all the time. It's like you definitely still want to be connected, but it's like we got to be careful.
yeah. Yeah. Well, we're social creatures, and particularly this last year, since we can't get together socially in person, this is how we're expressing ourselves.
Yeah,
That's the medium.
that is the medium, right? And connection is so important. And I just did an episode on
Mhm,
connection. I don't know what number it
mhm.
is. I'll put it in the show notes. But is social connection. That's why I don't like the word social distance. It's physical distance and social connection,
Right.
and reaching out with real people versus, people behind accounts that we may not know. Now, I will say again, I've made some wonderful friends and acquaintances and people that I continue to message with one-on-one and even talk on the phone with. So I will say, there's a lot of good that has come out of that, you know,
Oh, yeah.
but like everything, nothing is too good is all one way or the other. It's not
Too
all
much of,
terrible.
yeah, too much of any one thing isn't good, right?
Yeah,
That's a nutrition thing, right? Too much of anything isn't good
right.
for you.
Extremism in any direction isn't good,
Okay.
so wow. Anything else before we wrap up that you can think of that might help like the normal people like us who are not like cyber intelligent?
Well, you know what? Interestingly, AARP has a great program to help people in our demographic, um, through the cyber technology concerns. So, reach out to AARP. You can look them up online. There are a lot of resources. Actually, one very good one is the Federal Trade Commission. It's the site's ftc.gov
Okay.
GOV.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a ton of information and free material that you can get your hands on. They'll mail it to you. And I use that kind of thing when I'm doing my job, when I'm out, I'm doing a road show and trying to teach people.
Oh, that's really interesting. I will put both of those in the show notes
Okay.
so that people can find those. Wow. And along with, so you I'm going to say you endorse, so you recommend DuckDuckGo.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I mean, I'm not being paid
Mm-hmm.
by
I get it.
of
Yeah.
it, but it came recommended to me from very reliable, cyber professionals.
What about if you're using a search engine? Do you still use Google or do you use something else?
You can use Google through DuckDuckGo.
Mm-hmm.
Even you don't have to go to Chrome. I mean, just like you can use Google and any browser.
Safari or anything. Yeah.
Yeah. So
So you
um,
still, I mean, because once you search something, doesn't that like put the little breadcrumbs in your your computer?
yeah, yeah, you're kind of your cookies.
Your cookies, right?
Yep. Yep. Um, there are other search engines out there. They may not be as robust. Google just happens to be the big boy on the block.
Yeah. Bing, is Bing still around?
Bing is, it's just not very robust.
Yeah, I never
It
use it.
depends on use. So people, I mean, Google is a word, it's a verb,
Now it is, right.
so yeah, go Google that. And it's been coined for probably the last 10, 12 years now. So,
Yeah. I just talked about that in maybe the episode before this. Hold on. Not attitudes on aging. Anyways, Zoom fatigue. Episode 30, I talked about how so many words, like, do you use tissue or Kleenex? Because Zoom is one of them. Let's Zoom today, right? As a
Mm-hmm.
verb. And Google for sure. Instead of look it up on the Google search engine, it becomes
Yep.
Google it. So anyways,
Yep.
it's so much, things have changed. I mean, we thought the world was changing fast. Our parents thought the world was changing fast, but like it's exponential even,
Oh yeah.
now. It's crazy.
Yeah. This, it's incredible. Um, and I liken the technology field to like medicine, right? Nurses and doctors have to keep up with the latest journals and techniques, because they're constantly changing. Everything's evolving, so rapidly. So technology is that same way. I mean, they're constantly building bigger, better, faster things,
Yeah.
that you have to learn about
And keep up with. Yeah,
if you
exactly.
want to use them. Yep.
We got to use them with caution. That's really interesting. The analogy you put there. And I love what you said about slowing down, because to me it's like slowing down. I'm always in a rush. I think I was born in a hurry. I've always been told to slow down. I was
Mm-hmm.
the kid who fell up the stairs because I would try to take them two at a time and just
Oh my God.
yeah, I need to just slow down. And it's interesting, even like a lot of my analogies and thoughts go towards like food, nutrition, and exercise. So, like, shortcuts in the kitchen and whatever. And I'm actually trending back towards, making things in a slower fashion,
Mm-hmm.
instead of buying bagged salads, which taste disgusting because I figure they were bagged like 10 days before they showed up on on the grocery shelf, trying to go fresher and slower. And you know what? Like, so what? What am I going to hurry for? To get on social media and get my identity robbed? I might as well slow down and cook dinner.
There you go. Or take a break from it. Unplug. That's
Yeah.
probably the best advice I can give anybody is unplug,
Yeah.
but not until after you've heard this podcast.
Yeah. Right. Thank you very much. So, I do try to get on here. Thank you, Lisa. And just, when topics, like I said, show up that I think can actually help others, it's not, yes, I'm health minded and whatever, but every now and then a topic like this comes up and I'm like, I think this is going to be worth sharing, because even if one person maybe puts something on or learns how to protect themselves a little bit better, than maybe, at the end of the day, we've helped someone.
Absolutely.
So, well, thank you so much. Stay on for a minute. I'm going to say goodbye to our audience, and then I just want to thank you properly. You never know what we're going to get into around here with topics, but, anytime something comes up that I think is going to be useful, and I found it useful, especially the part about slow down, be careful what you're consuming, just be very cautious. It's kind of like just, looking behind over our shoulder to make sure we're doing things very carefully. And I also loved the suggestion to do a periodic unplug. So just as I think, taking the time to prepare a loving meal is very important, I think it's important to take our time and not be afraid of the internet or be afraid of social media, but just to be very careful with how we choose to consume it and what we choose to share. So I hope this has been helpful. Once again, thank you so much for tuning in today. Do me a favor, please leave a 5-star review, rating, and write a review if you haven't done so already. All right, we will see you next Tuesday and every single Tuesday for a new episode here on the Air Hug community. Thank you so much for tuning in. I look forward to chatting with you again next time.